On this episode of Carnage, the Ute is back and it's time to talk engine management. Ba, 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 ba. So here we are. Yes, the Ute is back in the Carnage workshop, and it's been a big couple of months since we last did a Ute episode. Everyone keeps asking, how is the Ute going? Well, the Ute is going, but, well, it's not going. That's kind of the point. We need to make it going. But anyway, since we last did a Ute episode, we've had, what, Christmas, New Year's, Summer Nats, which was a big deal for both us and MPW, and then obviously, you know, they've been trying to get back into the swing of things, so now they've finished off the rear tub area, they've finished off the rear end, except they're still powder coating the rear, so the diff will be here shortly, so we can put that in. But yeah, basically it is now up to us to finish off the engine, wire it and make it run and all those sort of things. So on the engine side of things, I have ordered a cam and lifters and rockers and stuff from Crow Cams, so that'll be here soon so we can finish off the engine. But it is time to start talking engine management and wiring and all that sort of thing, and Haltech is going to play a big part of that, and we have a couple boxes of goodies to show you. So let's have a look at that and explain where everything is going to go and how we're going to use it. Right, well, I have several boxes of goodies here, so I'm just going to grab stuff and start showing you what we've got. And we'll start with this, which is an IC7 Dash. So Haltech actually have a new dash on the way called the UC10. It's going to be amazing, but we're going to start with the IC7 because that is the current production model. UC10 is a little bit away still, but yeah, we've got that. We also have a Mako Motorsport 3D printed insert. So that is a thing of beauty. It's actually really well done. So we're going to use that with the dash in there. So yeah, that is a very tight fit in there, looks great. So that's going to look great in our VS Commodore. So we have a dash, that's step one. Of course we have to control the dash with something like this, which is a Nexus R5. That's right, the Haltech Nexus R5 is their premium top of the line ECU. It's not just an ECU, it's a power distribution module, it's everything. It's a wideband controller. I mean, CAN bus, the whole deal. It even has Wi-Fi, so you can tune this thing remotely. So, you know, no cables required if you want to go down that route, although it still does have a USB-C port. But yeah, Wi-Fi antenna there as well. 2 connection fields, or 2 lots of 2 connection fields. I mean, it's got it all. So we should probably talk about this a bit more, in that the power distribution module part is fantastic in that you can do away with a whole bunch of relays and stuff like that. So it'll run 4 25 amp circuits, plus it's got 12 8 amp circuits there as well. So yeah, basically you can piss off a whole bunch of relays and run stuff directly from the ECU. Well, it's like I said, it's not just an ECU, it's a whole, you know, management suite in a box. So fantastic. Because we are running an LS, let me stick that back in the box. They have a pre-terminated loom to suit. So that's going to save me a lot of drama when it comes to wiring this thing up. Also comes with wiring and connectors to suit all your auxiliary stuff. We've got more additional harness things. All comes in a nice handy bag. But yeah, basically, there's a whole loom. I won't break it all out just yet because, well, let's keep it all nice and tidy for the moment. Okay, next up, what do we got? CanKeypad. You've seen these before. We've actually used this one for a little bit in the Lex, and we took it to Summer Nats and we hooked up a couple things just so we could turn on thermo fans and stuff at Summer Nats. But CanKeypad, you know, 15 buttons there, which is more than we'll ever need. And then all your stickers and stuff to go with that. So next up we have our thermocouple adapter. Let's slice this one open. So I don't actually have the thermocouples yet because I've just been lazy and haven't ordered them. But basically this will run to EGTs in every cylinder, so exhaust gas temperature. We'll be able to measure them in every cylinder for basically the perfect tuning. So it comes with a little cord, plugs into our CAN bus, and then all our thermocouples, our EGTs will plug into there. We've got 8 of them to use. So yeah, so we can tune this thing perfectly and get the maximum power out of it and without cooking it. But wait, there's more. Shock travel sensor. So basically measures what your shock is doing at any moment during the run. So basically, yeah, it's a sensor that, you know, wires into the ECU and just measures the distance traveled and can measure it rapidly. So, you know, if you've got a little bump on the track at a certain point, it's unloading the car, then, you know, you can make adjustments to your shocks afterwards, but you can collect the data. Data is important, data is vital, and that is how people win races. And then we also have, where's this one? So the shorter version, this is for gear position, so we're going to set that up. So we'll be able to tell the ECU what gear we're in at any time. I mean, obviously we've only got 2 gears to work with, but you can run boost by gear or whatever, because the ECU will know what gear you're actually in because it'll have the gear position sensor. We also have laser ride height sensor. So anyone who saw Adam's car debut, the Capri, first time they took it down the track and puts any sort of power into it, they didn't have their laser sensor set up yet, and the thing stood on the bumper, didn't it? So at half track. So having a laser sensor and setting it up, you can prevent that happening. You can prevent it standing on the bumper. So if we'd have one of these in the Mazda, we would have saved ourselves a lot of trouble. So anytime we put power into the Mazda, boom, stood on the bumper. So having one of these means you can then in real time, you know, adjust the power output of the engine. So if it senses it coming up off the ground too much, it can not cut the power, but reduce the power so it doesn't just go into a massive power wheelie. So again, this will be perfect for the Ute. So that is pretty much all our Haltech stuff. As you can see, we have everything for our Haltech. So my mission now is to start mounting some stuff and getting this stuff wired up in the car. Let's get going on that. Okay, so we have our R5. I'll just put there for the moment in case I have to reference it. Well, I shouldn't have to reference it though, because thankfully in the bag comes this handy little book. And this is something you'll find common with all Haltech stuff. The label in the package isn't just a label. If you open them up, it has all the information. And that happens with everything that's Haltech. I can just pull anything out of that box and guarantee you open the label and it shows you all the wiring and everything you need to know about that particular item. So the book is quite comprehensive. There's all your connection fields and it shows you what the pin out is for each of those and what this is wired to. So this is going to be super helpful for setting this up. So we've got, yeah, it's all there. So cool, that's awesome. All right, let's open up the bag and start to have a look at our loom. Let's have a look. All the goodies. What's that? Alternator harness. Okay. Nope, one more. Cool. Alrighty. Macaroni? What the? Alrighty. Tug on him, tug on him. Let's see what we're dealing with. Thankfully, everything is labelled. There we go. Injector 1, oil temp. So on this side we've got all our, so there's our firewall plug. So all this stuff is engine side, all that stuff is ECU and cabin side. So on the cabin, on the Nexus plugs, we've got, all right, so they're our big boy power connectors for injector power, fuel pumps, thermofans, all that stuff. So there's that side. There's our ECU plugs, all 4 of them. And then we've got, all right, so there's our CAN bus connector. So it's not on the ECU itself. It's off the loom, off the, I think that's the A plug. And then we've got spares. Cabin breakout 1, cabin breakout 2, so I'll have to see what they've wired them for. Spare inputs, so AVIs, so we've got a bunch of those, which will be handy for hooking up all our auxiliary things further down the car, like, you know, shock sensors and stuff like that, gear position sensors, so those will be perfect for that. So what I'm going to have to do is get my little whiteboard out and start marking some of this stuff down and work out what I'm going to use some of this stuff for. So, yeah. But yeah, it's good to see that basically all your normal connectors are accounted for. There's wideband. So is that, yes, wideband 2, and there'll be a wideband 1 on this side probably. Yep, there it is. So yeah, so they've split it off into 2 banks basically. So injectors and widebands for one side, plus some engine earths, and then injectors and widebands for the other side, and then you've got just AVI stuff for general stuff as well. So yeah, it's all pretty self-explanatory from my point of view. You guys might want to watch and see how it all comes about, but I don't see this being a problem at all. We're going to need another table, I think. There we go. Right, let's start mapping this out. So we've got that big boy goes to there, that one for there, that one's for there. That one's probably for there. Make sure that, yep, they only fit one spot. Okay, just separate our ABIs here. So just when dealing with this stuff, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. AVIs, the I is the important part, input. So sensors and all sorts of stuff. GPOs and that sort of thing are outputs. So I is input, O is output. Shaft. So I'm just working my way through the list at the moment of what we need, you know, stuff like shock sensor, trans temp, drive shaft speed, gearbox position, fuel pump. So this is all rear of the car, so I'm going to divide the car kind of at the bell housing, you know, what's behind the bell housing, what's in front of the bell housing, you know, laser ride height, thermofans, electric water pump. These are all things that are not on our loom as it sits. So I'm not putting that like oil pressure and oil temp, water pressure, all that stuff, that's already part of the loom. I'm just looking at the extra stuff that I have to do that's not part of that loom. Also got to do, obviously, the main battery cables, because we're relocating the battery. Battery usually sits over where that turbo is. Obviously, it's not going to be up the front anymore. We're going to put it up the back like we did in the Lexan. So I have to make up some main battery cables and also wire up our coils. When it comes to main battery cables, we're going to be running main battery power to our Nexus via these plugs here that they use, and Haltech have a little hydraulic crimper that's suitable for doing that. We've already used this a bit on our Lexan, so it's a very capable little thing, great for terminating heavy duty power cables like battery cables and stuff, but it'll also do small stuff. So I mean, what's that? That's a 8mm there. So it'll do 8mm cables, or it'll do, you know, I think they're 50s, or, yep, 50mm square. So, you know, 50mm squares as big as we'll probably need for this thing. Is that 50 as well? Is that bigger? No, 70. So it goes up to 70. There you go. So yeah, we've got the Haltech hydraulic crimper there to use as well. So we are well situated on this. I'm just going to make sure that I'm not missing anything off this list. I don't want to have to go through later and add extra things. I want to get it right the first time. With the Lexan, there's been a lot of, oh, I forgot that. And then I've had to rerun extra wires and stuff like that. So let's get it all right the first time. So just looking through our little book and seeing how much stuff we've got running off a CAN bus, I figured we could use a CAN hub, and it just so happens that I had one in our spares that I was going to use in one of the other cars, and we ended up not using. But there you go, CAN hub that we can just daisy chain everything to. That'll be handy. I've got an idea of where we need to be and where we need to go. We've got to track down some plugs, and we need to start putting some of this stuff into the car. I have an idea of where I'm going to mount this. I'll show you that in a little bit, but let me just puzzle through the rest of it. But I am pretty confident this is actually going to go relatively well. Very happy with this. So, all right, it's almost knock-off time on the Friday. We will check back with you next week, and you can see where our progress is at. See you then. And so we're back, and while there hasn't been a lot of physical progress, there's been a lot of planning progress. As you can see, the whiteboard is a lot fuller than it was. Went over and visited Adam, and we worked out what the car actually needs, you know, what's not in the loom, what do we have to wire in separately, what circuits are we going to use for certain areas in the loom as well. So we've made our plan, and I have been working on the car on the hoist, but it is really hard to get the doors open on the hoist and for me to squeeze in there. So we're going to have to pull it down off the hoist. It has no diff in it at the moment, so it means we're going to have to rest it on this cradle. So that's going to be a bit of fun. It is stinking hot here in the workshop today. It's like 37 degrees outside. So we've got the fans going, so you will hear a bit of hum in the background. The fans are from Hare and Forbes, and they're perfect for workshops for cooling the situation down. So yeah, we're going to need that today, I'll tell you. Anyway, let's get this off the hoist. So first order of business is working out where we're going to stick this. It is pretty large, and our pre-terminated loom is only so long. I'd love to stick it under the seat if I could, but I don't think I have enough length in the loom to do that. So we might have to stick it up probably where the heater was. So yeah, let's go exploring. I think we have to pull the loom through to start off with, see how much length we've got on that, and go from there. It's like wrangling an octopus. injector 2. Sure, all goes to that side. Sure, this goes to this side. What have we got there? Transmission, ignition bank 1 and 2. So I've split the banks off, bank 1, bank 2, and we've orientated the loom. So our injector loom will fit. It'll be tight, but it fits at that point. So we'll see what we're dealing with inside and see what that dictates on our positioning of our ECU. So see how much length we've got inside. Oh wow, it really doesn't give us a lot to play with, does it? So the idea of mounting it over there, I was going to pull the heater out and mount it over there, but we actually don't have enough length for that. So we're really up here on the kick panel, which again doesn't give us a lot of room. So let's start looking at that. Now obviously we can't go that way because it's too wide. So we could go that way. It's going to make everything very tight for the turnout for the connectors there. Yeah, very interesting. Hunting. All right, I need that to... Yeah, I'm going to pull this heater out, I think. Yeah.
A few moments later.
Well, it has been a massive day. It's taken me a big chunk of the day just to get the heater out of the car, and I don't care if you don't like me pulling the heater out of the car. If you want to complain, ring 1-800 Scotty doesn't care. Our operators are standing by to ignore your call. So I have made this mount. So that's going to mount to where the heater would mount to, and then we're going to mount ECU to that. Little CAN hub to that, thermocouple controller to that, because we need access to the bottom to plug in the thermocouples. So that's all going to be mounted off the firewall. That'll hold it up nice and steady. It's probably overkill for what we want, to be honest. But yeah, that is going to mount it all neatly under there. They'll have nice turns for our wiring harness. It'll be all good. But it has been a big day in terms of weather. We've had 37 degrees, we've had massive thunderstorms. We've had hail, and you know what? I just want to go home. So let's go home, come back, and we will fit this to the car tomorrow. Right, so we've got all our bits attached to our little support bar. Oh wow, a bit of weight in that, but it should support pretty well off those 2 bolts. We'll see if that fits, I'm sure it will. But yeah, a lot cooler today. We had a bit of excitement yesterday across Melbourne, a lot of people without power today. But yeah, much cooler today, hence the hoodie. All right, let's get this in the car. All right. Test fit number 1. I've miscalculated. That part's going to hit the tunnel. Probably should have tried that before I bolted all the stuff to it. So we've done a test fit without all the components on it. Now I've remounted the components. Let's see it all fits in there. Here we go. That is going to work. All right, what's that, our can? So we'll have to run a little can jumper from there to our little hub. We have enough room for our thermocouples. That is going to work perfectly. Sweet. All right, let's install our dash. Pretty simple. Screw her in. Got to say, I really like the quality of this 3D printed insert. Certainly better than some of the others we've used. But yeah, we'll leave the seal on it for the moment. We'll remove that when we're ready to fire it up. But yeah, that's going to go in nice and easy. All right, so CAN bus, click. All right, let's go sit it in. Wow, they really give you plenty of length on the old CAN bus, don't they? So we'll have to hide some of that back up inside. But yeah, basically that's going to plug into that. We'll tuck that stuff away. And if we put power to the ECU right now, boom, the dash would light up. How simple is that? I mean, this stuff is really plug and play, except when you go super into it, which is what we're going to be doing. So a whole bunch of extra stuff, which we actually have to wire up to, you know, all these extra bits and pieces. So We've got spare ABIs and all that sort of stuff. So some of that stuff will be going towards the rear. And then we've got extra, what they call cabin breakouts here. So normally if you're going to run, you know, blinkers and all sorts of stuff, you would incorporate all that stuff. But we're going to use the factory loom to control all the car stuff. We use the Haltech to control all the power stuff, much as we did with the Lexan, and then just with a couple of added extras. So yeah, this is going to go pretty well, I think. But yeah, we've still got a long way to go, and you're not going to see all of it on this video, unfortunately, because no one wants to sit through all that stuff. So unless you do, if you do want to sit through it, hey, we can make another video showing all the ins and outs of all that. So if you want to see it, let us know. We always read your comments. But anyway, all right, what is next? And we've literally just had a delivery show up, and I'm pretty sure this is from Haltech as well. So let's have a look. It is indeedy do. Gotta love fast service. Look at that. So, these are all our thermocouples. So, basically, that probe goes in your exhaust. Let me open it up. So, probe goes in exhaust. We have, there's the bungs, there we go. Weld these bungs to the exhaust pipes. So this will be something the boys at MPW will be doing. So those will be welded there, or maybe they'll go underneath, whichever. They're the experts, we'll let them decide. So they weld to the exhaust. The tip will be locked into that. That senses exhaust gas temperature. So, you know, when you're up over 1300 degrees Celsius, that's bad. So obviously you want to monitor the exhaust gas temperature, which is a good way of, or probably the best way of tuning these things. We also will have some wideband sensors, so some LSU 4.9 sensors. So they'll be going to the exhaust to monitor the air-fuel ratio. Exhaust gas temperature will be monitored via the thermocouples, and the thermocouples just plug into the bottom of that thermocouple amplifier that we've already just fitted in there next to the ECU. So 8 of those will plug in side by side into that thermocouple amplifier. So yeah, like I said, plug and play. This stuff is awesome. Yes, a little bit of fab involved, but man, this is all coming together swimmingly. Now, with the lengths of these thermocouples, they can be shortened. Obviously not that end is what it is, but this end, you can cut back the sheath, and then it's just 2 wires in there that, you know, get terminated on the terminal. Pretty easy to do. So this is something Adam shared with me. Just order the long ones and you can shorten them to length later on if you're unsure of the sizes. So yeah, we just ordered the longest they had, and now we'll shorten them to length when we get that all in the car. But it's all going well. Right, well, I'm just looking around at what is next, and I mean, we can't plug anything into this engine because that's not the engine. That engine's coming out. Sure, I can just check that things fit, but there's no reason they're not going to fit. I mean, it is an LS loom and that is an LS engine, so it's all going to work. Now I've got to start building looms and stuff for all the auxiliary stuff, which is on the whiteboard. But yeah, I think we've got enough for this video so far. So let us know if you want to see us making all the loom stuff. I can show you some of that stuff in the next video if you like, or if you want us to just skip forward to whatever's next, we can do that as well. But let us know in the comments section. Of course, always like, subscribe, comment. That's what we want to see. Definitely subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And yeah, we're going to keep powering through with the Ute. We're going to try and get it to MotorX as a running, driving thing if we can. It'll be there regardless whether it's running or driving or not, but I don't see any reason why it won't be. That's May, we're in February. We've got a few months to do this. The cam should be here soon for the other engine, which is on the stand. So once I've got the cam and lifters, I can get the engine in, put it in the car, heads and all that sort of stuff, and finish up all that part of it. But in the meantime, I'm going to be building wiring looms for all this extra stuff. So yeah, we're going to make this happen. And you're going to see it all on a future episode of Carnage.